All right, welcome to day 22 of the Raising Funds for World Domination series. So this is a series I've been doing for the last 22 days or so, kind of in between projects, and I've been inviting super chats if people want to vote on what kind of content they want me to see me focus on. And every day I've been doing a little bit of work on developing the block mining simulation game. So today we'll continue with that. Yesterday, I left off on, I added a couple utility functions. And the overarching goal of this recent work is I'm just refactoring how frames are added to the screen so I can have a much more dynamic way of adding new frames and manipulating them. Yeah, that's why I added these utility functions. So we'll continue with that. So I guess the next thing will be to add a function that adds parts, but it does so with a list of IDs. Give it up for day 22. I can't really see that. I'm supposed to wear contacts, but I just don't, because they're annoying. Is that like a party celebration thing? confetti emoji? Okay. Yeah, the last 22 days have gone by quick. There's always so much random stuff you have to do in life that takes up so much time. I filmed one more scene for the next shorts video, so I'm like 60% done. The idea I had, it was a simple idea. I'm like, oh, this will take a couple days, because that's the whole point of a shorts. But I keep thinking of more detailed scenes. So hopefully this next one will pop off a bit. Came to party? This is where the party is. The most happening party on the internet. The excitement is palpable. JD123 says, hello, brother. How's it going? Do you know hacking? Which hacking? There's a lot of things that you can hack. Print hacking goes burr. That's the command that the Federal Reserve uses to hack things. Alert, hacking is fun. That's good. The UI for YouTube's UI is not vulnerable to cross-site scripting. It makes me feel safer. Hack++. Robert, do you say sudo or sudo? I think sudo is what most people say, isn't it? I think I looked this up for one of my shorts, and I found the most frequent, the most consistent one was sudo, but some people say sudo. Hello there, what are you making? I'm working on a terminal-based video game where you simulate the process of mining blocks. So you move around and you just spam the M key to mine blocks. And that's the entire game at the moment. I say sudo. You could say sudo, but makes more sense. It's short for super user do. Yeah, it's if you I guess if you for relevant videos, you can watch my video on the su command. I don't have one specifically on sudo yet, but sounds a bit Minecrafty. Will the game be released to the public? It's available on GitHub right now. If you go to down to the description, there's a link to the GitHub. But it's proprietary, so you're not allowed to play the game unless you pay me at least $1. You can play it for 30 days for free. Sudo makes more sense phonetically. Pronouncing sudo, though, that's more popular. I guess I don't, from your quotes, I can't tell which way you mean there, but I haven't really heard many people say sudo, but really not the most important thing. A lot of these things, it's funny how much people debate pronunciation, but like there's no, it's basically arbitrary. I'm going to compromise Walmart and rebroadcast your stream over every PA system in North America in order to help your goal of world domination. I'm not sure that'll help. Then they'll just be like, hey, who's this weird person? I mean, just looking at the word pseudo, many people would pronounce it pseudo. Oh, I guess I never updated the constructor on this. Oh wait, never mind. Have you listened to Kanye's new hit single yet? I'm aware of that song. I will avoid that topic for now. But I guess we'll see what happens. Maybe it'll get popular enough they'll play it on the radio. You kind of look like Vegeta. Nice. That's like a Dragon Ball Z character, I think. I never watched that show. I know of it, but... Are you under an NDA about your most recent next project? Nope. I'm so the things that I worked at. So today I worked a little bit on evidence and testimony. So there's only I only have 2 more days to submit as evidence or testimony for the hearing, which is on the 26th for the rerun eviction. So that's going to be where we actually present at the tenant board for the actual L2 merits. The last hearing was a hearing to question whether we should actually combine the cases. So today I worked a bit on that. I also I'm working on a new shorts video. So this one has a bunch of scenes in it. I think my hope is that it should be a good short video that'll get a decent number of views. So, but we'll see. Just another content experiment. And other than that, I've been distracted with a bunch of random stuff every day. Yesterday I had to go to the dentist. And then, yeah, between that, just my day is spent. My day is always spent distracted by something. So probably tomorrow, I may do a bit more filming for the next shorts video, and then yeah, next week I won't. Well, we'll see. Like my plan is that I think I did all the preparation for the hearing on the 26th. Then the last couple of weeks, because I can't do it. I can't submit more evidence next week. But if someone else in the building like asks me something, or like the lawyer comes back to me and says like, hey, I can't open these files or something, and then I gotta go back and forth to something, that may waste a bunch more time. And then after the hearing, I'm not even sure. The tenant board will, I don't know, maybe take a couple weeks or something, and then they'll get back to us probably within a couple weeks, hopefully within a couple weeks, and let us know if I am getting evicted or not. And if I get evicted, then I'll do some eviction live streams. Maybe I can live stream when the sheriff comes to evict me. Hairline go burr. Homeless live stream. I won't. Fortunately, I won't end up in that situation. But I don't know. The Ontario is just. So the way. So if we get evicted, I kind of think like most likely I think the way things are going now, they probably will not issue an eviction order, because there's still about half of the people who originally got the N13s. So it was 61 people, and they only got one building permit for all 61, which is and based on some other stuff that I've learned, I think it's really leaning in our favor now. Because there's also some precedents, and they wanted some other buildings. But if we lose, then, and what may even happen is they may deny this one, and then like in the fall, they may just get into like a new set of permits. So they'll start finding reasons to scrutinize individual people's apartments, and then be like, oh, well, we gotta replace this one or whatever. And but I don't know. We'll see. I think even if they well, to answer your question about the Canadian eviction process, if they got an order to evict, I think the way it works is, so we would like lose on, let's say, the 26th, and then probably like maybe two or 3 weeks later, the tenant board would come out and they would say, we are granting an eviction order, and then on that day, the eviction order said this would probably be like in mid-June or something, or first week of June. And then they would say, we are giving you an eviction order. This means you have to vacate within, it's probably like less than 15 days, or a couple, maybe it's 30 days or something. You have to vacate the premises. And in that time, you can apply, the tenant or the landlord can apply to the sheriff, and they can contact the sheriff. The sheriff can arrange a date that's after the term, officially evicted date, and come knock on the door and stuff. And then when the sheriff comes, I guess depending on the terms of the eviction order, they can come and they come and knock on the door and be like, hey, like you have to leave now. You need to like take what you need for the next like 24 hours, and you have to like go stay somewhere else, go to a hotel, go to whatever, but like take your toothbrush, passports, medications. You have to leave the apartment, and we're going to change the locks, and you have 48 hours to arrange a time with the landlord to come back and get all your stuff. And I think these things get like extended and stuff, but I think at that point the goal is to get the locks changed, because once they get the locks changed, after that period, if you try to like break back in, now you're committing a criminal offense. Whereas if you ignore the eviction order, it's just a civil offense. Once they change the locks, it's officially they have possession, but they also have possession of your stuff. So if they like throw it out within that 48 hours, they can sue you or something. And then after that period, I think after the 48 hours, then they're legally allowed to like sell your stuff or throw it away. But I think in practice, probably a lot of landlords would just like not care. They'd be like, whatever, just, as long as you come to get your stuff at some reasonable time, just like get out of the place, because they just want to rent it. They're in the business of renting stuff, not disposing of people's meager possessions. And I think most people who allow it to get to that situation don't have anything in the first place. They're like, people that there's homeless people that they move into apartments who have like, a bunch of old garbage in their apartment and stuff. So that's the eviction process as I understand it. It's pretty harsh. Doesn't sound like there's any appeal process. The appeal process. So that's so that would be if you lose at the hearing, the tenant board hearing, and they get an eviction order. Now, I think what can happen is at the tenant board, most likely, I think what the tenant board gives lots and lots of leniency. Like from what I imagine a Mountie knocking on the door and apologizing a lot. They probably are. So it would be the sheriff. And the sheriff is actually like, there's a specific office called the sheriff. And another thing too is apparently to actually get the sheriff, like there's a certain point past which, you could, the actual eviction order date, that's the date where you can call the sheriff. But when you call the sheriff, in practice, the sheriff doesn't come out right away. In some cases, I think they've said it's 6 weeks to get the sheriff to come out. So it's honestly from the landlord's perspective, like if you have deadbeat tenants, like tenants that just don't pay rent, in practice, honestly, I would say like my critique of it is that in practice, the tenant board fails tenants. It fails good tenants and good landlords. And I've heard stories that like apparently because like not all landlords are like faceless business tycoons and stuff. I've heard from one that there was someone who did they were a paralegal in the Toronto area, and they were saying they represented some like little old lady who was a landlord, and they had like a deadbeat tenant that they couldn't get out, and that the hearing, the adjudicator was like yelling at this little old lady about something, and it was like completely this paralegal was basically saying like the person working at the tenant board was not properly trained, and so for there's numerous cases you can look up about. If you watch my video, if you really want to know more about the eviction process, watch my my video. I think it's called I think I renamed it. It's called lack of consensus is killing productivity, and in that I talked a bit about. I mentioned a video where there's apparently an epidemic of these small-time landlords who are getting like completely ruined by some person will move in who's like has a substance issue, and then they just like immediately they pay 1 month of rent and then stop paying rent, and it takes like 20 months to get the person out of there, and then by the time they're out, the place is like trashed, and some of them are like vindictive, so they'll like destroy everything and spray paint things, and it's just like total nonsense. And then the way the tenant board works is I've heard that there's a lot of like social workers who are in the tenant board, and so if you say like I have a mental health issue, even if you're like destroying the place and not paying rent, they'll be like, oh, you have a mental health issue, I guess we'll just will extend this. So at the tenant hearing, I think it's very common for them to just push it down the road or say like, okay, you got to redo this, you got to get this permit, you got to. So they allow you to extend it and push it off. But that's still for the tenant. For the tenant, that really only works if you don't need I sound like someone knocking. If you're a tenant and you don't need any kind of stability, so like if you just sit around all day and you don't go anywhere, then you can handle like a bunch of hearings and stuff, having a hearing every 2 months. But if you're like a normal, productive member of society who's got like, you're going on vacation, you're trying to plan stuff, then it's having to go to a hearing every 2 months or something and then having to like play the system. I mean, it's like a full-time job trying to stay in the apartment that way. So the whole system is messed up for tenants and landlords. And of course, it's impossible to build stuff now, and everything's just so messed up. Here in the States, there's a problem where people are professional squatters. Yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that. Like, there's people that like learn all the technicalities. Like, I mean, I've learned a lot about the process of like how if you wanted to be a professional landlord or a professional tenant. But the thing is, like, I pay my rent. I don't trash the place. I'm like a normal. I'm probably like, maybe I'm full of myself, but I think I'm probably one of the best tenants that you could have. Like, I basically just sit at my computer all the time, and I don't play music. I don't do. I don't make a lot of noise. There's no I don't have bug issues or anything. Quashed a minor rebellion in Los Gatos today. Hope your fundraising is going well, Robert. Because we really need more resources out here. Los Gatos. Where is that at? Yeah, I've seen there's some news recently I've seen about apparently things are starting to fall off a cliff in a lot of different places, more so than usual. Hello everyone, I just have a question. What are you doing exactly? Right now I'm getting distracted by chat. My brain is single-threaded. What's on the screen here is my code for a terminal-based game where you simulate the process of binding blocks. So I'm in the process of trying to refactor some of the code to make it more adaptable to adding things to the user interface. So if you click around on probably one of the previous screens, you can see an animation of what the game actually looks like. So it won't compile right now, but I instead of playing video games for my streams, I try to just do something productive and code and talk to chat. But I get distracted a lot. Don't agree. You don't agree with the unit. Very bad, basically. Yeah, I mean, I've been here 7 years, and I've only asked for one repair. To the tap started leaking. The O-ring seal started like leaking, so I got them to replace that. Okay. So I was creating a utility function to add splits by specifying their IDs. This might work. So once I demonstrate that works, then I can refactor this. Damn, so interesting. Yep, it is. It's pretty interesting. This is probably one of the most interesting live streams on YouTube. I write code and talk about my how my landlord is trying to evict me for under the guise of proposed extensive renovations to the building. All right, that looks like it's working. Open help menu. There's the help menu, close help menu. Nice. Actually, that was the other case. So let me Have you tried annexing the building in the name of Axel Heiberg Island? I thought about that, but I figured that the world domination requires being understanding the nuance and the nuances of diplomacy. So I figured that might be a bit too aggressive. But if we can make some headway at the hearing, if we can win, then that supports the idea that maybe we have a chance for declaring independence. You can't be too aggressive off the bat. It's all about enacting a sophisticated shaping operation. Gotta take it one step at a time. Make me your commander from India. Maybe I'll add you. I'll add you to the list. I've already got a few volunteers, or I don't know if it was if you volunteered last time, but there's already I've already got a few volunteers. The big thing is I need to get that $12 billion super chat so that I can start building that deep water port back up in Axel Heiberg. Huh? World domination? Why not? We need some leadership in this world. People keep saying there's problems, and then they never get fixed. So we'll just take over the world and fix all the problems. Robert is our Pope. I don't know. I don't think I can compete with the Pope. I mean, the Pope, he can do his thing. He's there's a new Pope recently, I guess. I don't follow that stuff very much. Robert Elder greater than Elon Musk? Yeah, I appreciate the sentiment. I mean, I guess I haven't launched any rockets yet, but it's a long weekend, isn't it? What if it's fireworks that I hear out there? Best ASMR coding. I'm going to sleep. Next weekend is a long weekend? Oh, okay. Yeah, when I was at the dentist, they were like, so what are you doing for the long weekend? I'm like, long weekend? I didn't know about it. What do you do on weekend? I don't really even distinguish between weekends and weekdays. I just do the same thing every day. More or less, make progress on the number of things that I'm trying to work on. I always answer that just typical unemployed behavior. I mean, legally speaking, I'm employed. From a tax perspective, I pay, I collect and pay my own taxes. I collect source deductions and submit them. This man pays taxes when in reality he's a sovereign citizen. Rookie mistake. It's foreign aid. I have to help these developing nations. Otherwise, if I didn't pay taxes, they would collapse. How is filing taxes in Canada? In the US is still quite backwards, IMO. At least for a developed country. Here it's personal taxes is not too bad. I used there's this wealth symbol or something. They're like an online tax filing thing. You can I don't know. I spent a couple hours on mine. Mine are actually more complicated, but if you just have a regular company, or if you just have like a regular T4 slip from a single employer, then it's you could have it done in like 20 minutes or something online. But corporate taxes, those are a lot more time consuming, and I have to. I guess for that I have to go through all my expenses and stuff like that and add them up, and then I submit the trial balance to an accountant, and then the accountant figures out any kind of all the complicated rules related to corporate tax. So that ends up costing me like $2,000 a year to get that done. And it's hard to get an accountant. The previous accountant I had, I started off with KPMG, and they were very expensive and their communication was very poor. They're one of the big four accounting firms. And then I switched to a local accountant, and then that accountant got like health problems, and the company also got bought out. Or no, first the company got bought out, so then they like changed everything. And then, then he got health problems, and then they switched to another person that was in that office. And then I got an email recently that the other guy who took over after him, he left the company. He's leaving the company that they got acquired. So I've actually never. Yeah, hopefully I still have a contact there. Goat indeed. Cheers and good evening. How's it going? This is true. Canada might collapse if not for your subsidies. Yeah, I'm basically the only person keeping this dump afloat. Here are companies like TurboTax and HR Block allow me to make tax code complicated and are against free filing. Yeah, that's I've heard about that as a big thing. I assume they probably that kind of shenanigans is probably also going on up here. There's also an issue where companies we have a big problem with like hacking and tax fraud, and like all these hackers have like infiltrated our tax system. So what they end up doing is they will this happened with H&R Block. With H&R Block, when you get them to file your taxes, they have they get like an access code to access your account and like file your taxes on your behalf, because that's literally what you pay them to do. And what has happened is H&R Block got hacked, and so all these old access things they had from years ago, someone started submitting fake tax refunds, or like they started submitting fake tax forms saying like they would just fill in like whatever the max thing was to say like that they lost a bunch of money, or they had no income, or they I don't know, they filed this or that, and the government owes them all this money for like $10,000 or something. So now they have an income tax refund of $10,000 with fake information that's just like designed to get the max payout. And then they change in the tax documents, they change the address where the refund is supposed to go. So people are just like sitting there, and then they all of a sudden they get a tax bill from the CRA saying you owe like $10,000 in back taxes for misfiling your tax returns. And they're like, I didn't file my tax returns. And it's because H&R Block got hacked and someone started filing other people's tax returns on their behalf. So that's an issue. With the average salary, man shouldn't even need to file taxes. The government knows exactly how much he made. Yeah, it's certainly. I think it's honestly an enormous waste. Like when you think about for how much money I'm making. If you've seen my breakdowns, I'm making like less than $30,000 a year, and the amount of money that I spend in accountant and time to like properly file those taxes, like that money, that $2,000 could go a long way towards something else. And most businesses are struggling, small businesses. So like there's a huge percentage of growth that's being consumed by like superfluous stuff. And like this compliance, it's not like a GDP producing activity. Like creating a mountain of paperwork doesn't give you any tangible long-term useful property. I always file as a single mother and I get massive free money. Yeah, something like that. They'll just check all the boxes to get the maximum thing. Be careful, we have not an FBI honeypot watching the stream. Yeah, I've been kind of wondering if that guy's an FBI honeypot. Let's see. Let's finish converting. My dog is currently eating mosquitoes outside. That's a useful activity. Less mosquitoes. You do not like switch blocks, e.g. for frame state class? I guess I could if I had a lot of them. Yeah, I guess I've, well, I don't know. I can't remember. In Java, can I do a switch on that? Yeah, it's possible. If I end up with a lot of them and it gets really slow, then I guess for now I'll probably just keep it with that, because I may add. It's possible that I may, like right now there's only a small number of these, but if I start adding like, hundreds of different UI classes, or if I have hundreds of different thread states, then maybe I'll probably like completely refactor this into a not use ifs or switches at all. Do something more sophisticated. Do you hear about stream data breach? Highly recommended. Everyone change their passwords. Steam data breach. Okay. I don't use Steam, so. Bro, how could I get Asia when you rule the world? Please, I need the ABG. Bro, could I get Asia? Well, we'll see. Well, we'll see. I gotta get there first. I need to work on getting my $42 billion super chat, or sorry, $12 billion. I think $12 billion is enough to get started, get a port. Bro, please, Asian baddies. I think you're getting ahead of the game. You gotta work and make money and build deep water ports first. Mr. Genghis Khan over here. So, yeah, you gotta start somewhere. All right. When the domination starts rolling, can we start calling Canada the Middle North? I was thinking about calling it the Democratic Republic of Canada. I think that's a nice ring to it, and that's how you let everyone know that you're a democracy. Is you put the word democratic in the name of your country. is the deep water port for traveling under the ice sheets. No, it's for the initial transport of like materials and stuff. So if you want to send bulldozers and cranes and stuff like that, and all kinds of material for cement trucks and stuff. The island is Axel Heiberg is basically, there's nothing on it. There's only like a couple like a few small shelters and stuff. There's only one research station up there. It's got like basically a couple cabins. There's no airports to land on or anything, so that would be another first priority. You could set up an airport, even just like a dirt airport, because right now there's none. Love it, man. Keep it up. We'll conquer the world. Excellent. Thank you for the support. What are you building? I'm working on a terminal-based application. It's a terminal-based video game. So you wander around an infinite universe and you spam the M key to mine blocks. And that's the entire game loop. If I can get it compiled in a second, I'll show you. Sounds fun. Honestly, it's kind of not a good game at all at the moment, but I have big plans for the future. All right, it doesn't crash. Excellent. Excellent. No crashes. All right, so this is almost something that can be done as a bunch of messages. this amount of normal? Is this a normal amount of Java syntax for UI? Or do we adding in extras like talking with Spring? I don't know. It just depends. It depends. This I don't know if Java necessarily has anything to do with it. I just have a lot of. You could maybe say it's overcomplicated, but it'll be, I think, pretty generic once it actually works. I'm thinking tonight I might even be able to. Yeah, I think in general, what I wanted to be able to do is like this whole thing that's written here in code. There'll be a series of user interface features, like for example, to you can just go in the menu and say add a map area, and I haven't completely figured out how that'll work. I have to have a way to specify like what kind of split you should have and where it should go. Yeah, Java syntax for a UI. I mean, you can, depending on how verbose your syntax is, you can have any kind of syntax for UI. And you mentioned Spring, so this doesn't really use Spring at all. The Spring, mostly you just use that for like talking to the database and stuff, and like prepared statements and stuff, and there's some transaction stuff there. Seems it's not just the UI it's making. It's a whole UI system. Yeah, I guess I hesitate to call it like a UI system, but basically I want to be able to like rapidly. The user interface has to be able to display stuff. So, for example, one of the user interface things that I might add, which might not be too much work after, is like, so I have all these log statements in here, and it would just be like a small screen area. So if like something's not working in the game, I can just say, I can go to escape, help menu, and then say open log window, and then it would open filtered log, and then I can just go in there and type a word, and it'll basically do the effect of grepping every log statement internally, and then it'll just display that in the terminal, so I don't have to like check the log. I could just have a log window directly in the game, and I could just close it and stuff like that. And I think it'd be really important for all kinds of other stuff, like debugging the transactions. I could have like a transaction state queue window, and there's all kinds of other problems with like the number of chunks that are loaded and stuff, and I have to like go into the log and like look for all this information, and then of course actual game content. Now the next thing I have to think about, basically, like a lot of this stuff here, I want to make it so that this sequence of stuff could be specified manually through inputs, probably from the menu. I need to think of a way to do that without having 10,000 different kinds of messages. I use PHP and drive a Lambo. Check this. Skillets. That's excellent. I'm glad to hear that you have a Lambo. How is the market for PHP these days? Is that still in demand a lot? I imagine there's a lot of legacy projects that use it. So I guess I'll need to, I'll change this around, I think, because this is responding to a message. Right now it's doing, this works for the special case of closing the help menu, but the thing that I want to do is make it a bit more general. So it'll close like an arbitrary frame ID. guess I'll start off with, I'm gonna need a message to request the root of the tree. many threads are you using so far? I don't know, there's probably around maybe like 5 or 6 like base ones, and then there's one for every single frame. There's a separate thread. This I could actually just delete. I was thinking I couldn't. Maybe have a message for that, but I don't even need an extra message. I could just send it directly. Now I'll see if that breaks everything. That is a change that, if it doesn't work, it'll break everything. First, I'm basically going to try to figure out how to make that like open frame thing more general, and then I guess the closed frame as well. Dog with a shotgun. I don't know what to say to that message. That's kind of out of left field. I have no idea what I'm looking at here, but the algorithm thinks I need to see this. You are one of the chosen ones. The algorithm chose you. Do I get a cookie? Or am I just going to Mordor? I think we're probably going to Mordor. That means the algorithm favors the domination. I think anything that that brings more super chat revenue, because they get 30%. Google takes 30% of all world domination. So that $12 billion super chat that I'm looking for, they're going to take a lot of that. Was it going to be 3.6 billion? That's quite a bit. But it's the price you pay. Well, they ain't getting any squat from me because I don't donate to streams very often. That's reasonable. Most people don't. I never did until I started streaming, and then I was like, hey, I should actually like do this. Personally, I never watch live streams, and if I do, I wait until they're over and then I watch them on 2x speed. ADHD much? I don't know. It's 2x speed is more efficient. I don't think it's a good use of time to watch things on 1x speed if you don't have to. I have too much time on my hands. Well, time is valuable, so that just means that you're rich. Rich with time. Time is money. You can go to the bank and ask them to trade all your time for money. They'll write you a big check. Just don't have any real hobbies. You can always become a computer programmer and make block mining simulation games. Lomdi says KD. I'm not sure what that means. All right, let's make another message. I would trade 30 years of my lifetime for a few $1 million. There was a movie where there was a premise, something like that, where you could literally exchange time for money, and it was the primary currency. think I saw that one a while ago. An interesting premise. Yeah, it must have been quite a while ago. I haven't watched movies in a long time. So what are you making? Let's see if it compiles. Let me just add one more function and then I'll be able to compile it and show the gameplay. The TV show Sliders had an episode where people had a control that could fast forward time, but you couldn't rewind. I think someone forwarded for money. I remember that show Sliders. That was a cool show back in the day. And they'd like always get stuck in weird places and stuff. That's useless. I would rather have something that shows me 5 minutes into the future instead. That'd be nice. Would that be like an infinite cheat code though? You could just start a trading account. You could trade on. You could do like you could basically completely own Wall Street. Was about to sleep without saying hi. Yesterday I slept during stream. That's an amusing thing. I never expected people would sleep to the stream. What is this? Can someone tell me? We'll see in a minute. Yes, once I get it compiling. I was thinking, wondering, along the lines of cheating horse races. I would probably trade currency markets. That's where I'd start. We'd never lose rock, paper, scissors. But if you saw 5 minutes ahead, there'd be nothing you could do to stop it. These are all premises for TV shows, but that's why as I got older, I kind of didn't really enjoy that type of fiction anymore. The premises are always so arbitrary. The objective is to use the future to our advantage, not to avoid the future. Imagine being in combat overseas, being able to see an ambush out of time. You could reverse it, or in a video game. That'd be nice, but it'd be cool if many things in reality were different. If you could reverse the ambush, how did you see it? If you can only see 5 minutes, though, sometimes that might not be enough. All right, there's one of the message types. split universe theory. One version you fall for the trap, while the other version you split off survives. The many worlds theorem, I guess. It'd be nice, but too many unrealistic thought experiments to think about. I guess I thought about that a long time ago in the past when I first learned about the many worlds theorem. And I was like, it's sad where there's all these universes where bad stuff happens. Okay, that message will cover this. It's not a theorem, but it's the most direct interpretation of the math. Yeah, but it's also like it's untestable. So I guess in that way, that also makes it not a theorem. Do you speak French? I did French immersion, but I have not used any French since I graduated high school. So I forgot all of it, and I was never good at it, too. Pretty sure this is one of those universes with all the bad stuff. Yeah, I guess you're probably right. There's a thunderstorm out there. I can see the sky flashing off in the distance. Thunder. My English sounds like speaking French in English. Hope the power doesn't go out. Make sure you save your progress. I think I'll be fine. French is super complicated. Yeah, I was never really passionate about learning it anyway. Easier than trying to teach someone English. Yeah, English is a crazy complicated language. It's funny that we standardized the world on English, the most complicated language. We have a word for literally everything. Can't seem to make up our minds. Defining half of it. And also lots of inconsistencies in grammar and pronunciation. And then I didn't even realize until I became an adult that like there's certain words that are like actually I can't remember any off the top of my head. They're words that like they're spelled the same and they sound different and mean something different in a different context. Let me try to think of one. Yeah, led and lead. Yeah, we stare and stare, like those are at least spelled different, but there's words that are literally they're literally the exact same word, and they mean something totally different in a different context, which is like I don't know how I don't even, maybe I learned that in school, but then I thought I was like losing my mind at one point when I was like looking at these two sentences. I'm like, wait a minute, this is literally the same word. How are you supposed to know the difference? And it means something different, and it sounds the same, or it's spelled the same. Reading was through a book, understanding YouTube video, 2x speed. Even some words even are the exact same, mean opposites in different contexts. Like sanction, yeah. Yeah, I never thought about that. It's amazing how our brain understands any of this, because it just doesn't make any sense. Lead, past tense. And led to metal. Pronunciation is difficult. Strafe and strave. Pronunciation is different. That's how Bill Clinton got into trouble. The 28th meaning of is depends on your definition of what is. Oh yeah, someone asked about the game, and this is what the game looks like. So you wander around like this, and you spam the M key to mine blocks. And this is the extent of the game. You can press the C key to craft a better pickaxe, and you can mine out to a larger radius. And then there's minor differences between UK English and American English. They change definitions to words. Like pants or truck. Yeah, it's crazy complicated. Yeah, I always have to look up spelling differences, and then I wonder what I think, like, oh, I have a typo, but actually it's because like I'm spelling something like the word color and there's an extra U in there, and because I guess we in Canada we use British English, but also sometimes, but for us it's still kind of acceptable to use American English sometimes. And once we become the 51st state, then they will force us to not to put that U in there, the word color. You'll go to jail if you spell color with a U. And French English. Yeah, I don't, there's not many French people around here. Actually, there's not, there's a lot of people around here. I went for a walk in the park today, and there's quite a few people that are not speaking English at all. I turn the S into a Z in any words that ends in ISE. Oh yeah, and we even say the word, what do we say? I can't remember. There's Z and Z, I think. The US says Z, and we say Z. I'm not sure what that says. No Nintendo. No Nintendo, nada. I see the word cool at the end. That must mean that I'm cool. Thank you for the compliment. I can't understand what's happening, but looks cool. So right now we are working on a terminal-based video game. Let me just compile it and boot it up. So you wander around and you spam the M key to mine blocks. And it runs in the Linux terminal. I'm not sure what's going on in the chat, but I'll have to require people to speak English just so I can know what's being said if I have to moderate something. Anyway, that's the game, and right now I'm working on refactoring some of the user interface. Talking about the OG Translate. Okay. So this can be done as a message. So I guess I can have a message type for making a split. Robert, did you ever have a class taught by Ming Li at Waterloo? I saw their name mentioned in the news article about using LLMs and lossless compression. I thought of my favorite Waterloo alum. I don't think I had that person. Yeah, that doesn't ring a bell. But what did they teach? From the article, January 2023, when I taught a Kolmogorov complexity course at the university. I've never even heard that term. I reflected on the idea that compression is understanding. Compression is understanding. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of AI models, I think, that have been used for quite a while. In a way, that's kind of like the idea of training a neural network is almost equivalent and identical to compression, because basically that's like literally what your brain does to reason about the world. Your brain has to build a second model of the world to reason about it. So it's basically a compression algorithm. I'm new to this channel. What's this live about? So I'm working on a terminal-based game where you simulate the process of mining blocks. Yeah, so it doesn't compile at the moment. Let's see. But anyway, basically it's a terminal-based game that you run on Linux, and you wander around and spam the M key to mine blocks. So I'm kind of in between some other projects right now. I decided to just stream some of my coding every day. Our brains are just remote desktop clients with intense lag sometimes. I think that's accurate. All right, so we can do a message to open, get the root split, create a leaf node. Next will be need a message to create a split, and then one to add the children to a split. And once those two message types exist, this can be made less generic. Oh, that's wrong. And eventually, this hard-coded variable can be deleted. Now let's make sure everything's not broken. Excellent. Are you listening to any music, Robert? What's your programming soundtrack? I'd say I guess it depends what I'm listening to at the moment. I guess I listen to a lot of the stuff that gets recommended in YouTube. I like the funk music, vaporwave, the I don't know. There's been kind of like trends that have been popular on YouTube. I guess honestly, if you go to like a lot of the music that streamers play in the background, it's like stuff that's trending at that time. That seems to coincide with my my own interests. There was like vaporwave was popular for a while, and then there was like some kind of Japanese. There's multiple variants of it that branched out into. It's like a Japanese, I don't know, like a kind of happy lo-fi funk, just some mishmash of terms, and then funk music, and some random pop, whatever's kind of trending, and then also some like random, I don't know what I call it. Yeah, pretty much a bunch of everything. I don't listen to any country or anything like that. Is it correct to say this is basically a mining simulation game in the terminal, where you mine iron ore blocks as a way to experiment with game mechanics and procedural role generation? I'm curious, what are your main goals with this project? Are you focusing more on learning programming concepts, or do you plan to develop into a full game someday? I'd say there are kind of multiple orders of objectives. Basically, everything I'm doing on YouTube is an outgrowth of my business. Historically, I did call it contract software development, but that has basically dried up to nothing. I've always considered it kind of like a crazy idea to build my own piece of software. But at this point, I actually can kind of consider it less crazy than what I was doing before, which is just trying to bootstrap a general consulting business. And my eventual goal was to build a specific product eventually anyway. And I think at this point, with the combination of like streaming and general content, I think that might be enough to bootstrap a business model. So most of my audience and content is related to terminal-based stuff. And so I think it makes sense to start there with like a terminal-based application, because that's what my audience is familiar with. And it's also kind of a niche thing. I don't know, nobody else is doing exactly what I'm doing. So I think I can basically I can have a monopoly on this space. And it's one for which I think there is a reasonable audience, and I already have that audience. So to be able to like work on it, develop a bit of cash flow. I have been getting a few super chats each day, so that kind of pads the revenue. And the key is just like, survive long enough to be able to build something that's actually impressive. And then once it's impressive and can do stuff, then I can raise more money to fund more development on it. And if I get it develop enough cash flow, then I could hire other people to work on it. That would make it even more impressive, and then I can get more money. It would be kind of interesting to use it as a playground to experiment with other kinds of like procedural terrain generation and stuff, and just kind of incrementally build more and more interesting like visualizations into it and stuff. Oh wait, this does have a parameter. What is your favorite command? I'm glad you asked that question, because I made a video to answer that. It's one of my most recent shorts videos. Nice. 0 compile errors. Okay, now the last message type will be a message to specify which splits to add to another split. And that will succeed in simplifying this help menu. Great foresight. Hope you can achieve your goal of bootstrapping your own software module. Yeah, the goal has always just been to survive as an independent business. I've survived for over 10 years now, but historically it seemed like every time I get a little bit of revenue growth on something, I get like a decent contract and think, oh, once my customer brings in more work and I network around to new people and stuff, but there's just too much nonsense. I guess if you watch my how to become a 37-year-old broke loser video, that video explains the history of my experiences in doing software consulting, which is why I'm moving on to this more. What you do for a living? This is what I do for a living. Right now, YouTube is the primary revenue source for me. Okay, let's so this will not have, doesn't really need a return type, but we'll add one anyway. Add split parts by IDs. Nice. I'll surely watch that video to find more details. Yeah, if you're interested in, I think if you're interested in the realities of trying to do an independent software business like I did, then let's say your experience might be better than mine, but I definitely had some. Just knowing the realities of how many like low quality leads there are and how much time you can waste is useful. I'm doing CCTV and other hardware supports. Works great as a starter job. What do you mean by starter job? Like for just getting into tech or getting other work? I'm doing that right now. You can make some serious money if you network. Right, and a good. Yeah, getting the initial like high quality work. I guess CCTV. Yeah, I don't know where I would start for. Where do you get your initial business? Right now, mostly word of mouth. Also work as a handyman on an app called TaskRabbit. Okay. Yeah, I've in the past I've avoided those kind of freelancery sites, or I guess it's not quite freelancer, but back in the day there was freelancer.com and I think Elance, and it had. I looked into it and the reputation of it was just awful, so we decided that. And it really seemed like the value really is in the relationships and not really in like building a profile on those sites, which is what they kind of want to suck you in and get you to do. All right, that might work. Sometimes you can print and send a letter to every house of a new construction development. it's a great if you were present on the top searchable platforms to get people in the door. Yeah, CCTV is. I've actually even thought about setting one up for my apartment here, given the status of our unscrupulous landlord here. Void cannot be converted to long. It's cool because for some cameras you can literally just record with FFmpeg or like VLC. Yeah, I had something set up with like Raspberry Pi, but it's just and I had like some commands and script and stuff, but I think the real difficulty is like just getting a decent software solution. It's like all the kinds of like how do you want to detect like I know ways to detect when you should record and stuff, and like it's all a very solvable problem. But ideally it'd be nice to have like a very featureful piece of software. Maybe I'll have to do some research on what's available, but it's not I have too many other things on the go at the moment. All right, that was the last message type that I need to add. Or record constantly, decide what to delete. Yeah, stuff like that. Like having a intelligent software to like I had something. I had made a really haphazard solution that it was taking like frames, and then it was just actually using the zip command. So it would zip the first file against the last file, and it just had like a moving average. So if something changed a lot, there would be more entropy in the file, and it would zip less. So I just had like a threshold, moving average threshold to say like, okay, save these if the current frame is very different from the last one. But there we had issues with it. And then also the Raspberry Pi, the camera, if it would run for a while, it would like start throwing errors, and then it would like break the thread, and I had to like have all these try catches, and just like I don't really want to code this. I want a pre-baked solution. Dedicated NVR box, nice. Newer boxes have person and vehicle detection. Yeah, I know someone else who has one, and honestly, for the price, the software that's on it is pretty good. But of course, they want you to like connect it into their cloud and stuff. That's why I said just like keep it offline. But then I guess the issue is like if once the hardware fails, then you gotta buy a new thing. I had that idea too, but I was thinking to rely on the inherent compression of the codec. Yeah, it's one of those things where I don't. It's not what I'm working on. I don't want to build it. Okay, so the whole point of all that was now that code can be moved out of this thread. look up PoE camera. Most of them can be powered over PoE on 12 connection plug, just connected over Ethernet. Oh, and power over Ethernet. Okay. Yeah, it's something that's on the to-do list to research more. For those of you who hate long variable names and function names, you probably hate the code I'm writing right now. But once it works, I can refactor it later. Descriptive names. The advantage of having this kind of granular thing will be that I can kind of move some of that complexity out of the console writer thread Steak class, but I can also make it way more flexible. I've got a crazy new way of opening the help menu, but ideally other menus as well. What is this? This is a computer programming stream of my work on a terminal-based video game where you simulate the process of mining blocks. And if I can get it compiled, then you'll see what it looks like. You can also skip past on some previous live streams, and you'll skip around and you'll see what the gameplay looks like. Running. Okay, here's what gameplay looks like. So you run around and you spam the M key to mine blocks. You can press the C key to craft, and that mines out to a larger radius. And that is the entire gameplay loop. There's no other gameplay or enemies or anything like that. It's a work in progress. Right now I'm working on some much more sophisticated UI. So we'll see if the massive changes I just made cause the application to crash. So let's try to open the help menu again. Nice. So it just crashed. That might be an easy fix. It's different. Oh, yeah, it's because I changed the order. Interesting. And that breaks everything. Oh, you know what? I know why that happens. All right, we're back to where we were. That's awesome that works. Because if I had to debug that, that would take a long time. All right, that's actually, I think, a significant milestone. So this small amount of code there became this giant bunch of messages. But it is now generalized. So now I can open like arbitrary frames and put them in arbitrary places. Not quite yet, but it's a work in progress. All right, I think we'll call it a night. That's a reasonable amount of work done. So I guess we'll pick up where we left off tomorrow. Have a good night, guys.